Hi, Recovery Mom here. And I thought, being it's Christmas Eve, we would have a little Christmas holiday get through the season chat. Okay. So I was thinking today as I was driving, how absolutely triggering and horrible and difficult this season is when you have an eating disorder. There are so many things that we have to navigate, right? So many things. We have to navigate the surprise food. We have to navigate the gatherings. We have to navigate comments people make. We have to navigate trying to stick to our meal plans or our, minimums and what we're trying to do to keep moving in recovery. There's so many things that we have to navigate. And this time can be so triggering. It can be a time of trauma. It can be a time, that brings up bad times from your past. It can just be a time where you feel like you can't slow down and take a break, which means you're going to want to restrict, right? And so I'm trying to think of some of the things that maybe have helped me along the way during the holidays, because it took me 3 years to recover. And in those 3 years, I've had lots of holidays, right? 3 Christmases, 3 Easters, 3 New Years, and they were horrific. They were literally the worst. It's tough enough when you're trying to recover, right? On a regular day, in a regular month. Then you add the stress of holiday and seeing people, and it's just a nightmare. So first, I want to say, give yourself a break, right? Just give yourself a break. It's not a time to be perfect. It is not, for me, it was never a time to make huge recovery gains, right? There's 2 things I would always think of when I would come up on a holiday meal or a holiday gathering, okay? And when I was in the very beginning of recovery, it was just to maintain and to hold steady and to not regress. That was enough for me. I didn't worry about trying to tackle fears. I didn't worry about trying to up my calories. I didn't worry about any of that. I just worried about not going backwards, okay? Not, these holiday times are times when we often want to kick off that restriction, right? Because we're like, ooh, I ate a piece of pie, I should restrict for a week. So I want you to think about, instead of doing some big, powerful recovery move, let's just maintain. Let's just stay where we are. Let's just hold steady so that we don't go backwards. We don't want to find ourselves worse than we are right now, okay? And then after a year or so in recovery, I was a little bit more solid. I was a little bit more comfortable with holidays and get-togethers and people. So then I would try, and I never told anybody out loud I was doing this, but I would think of something I wanted to tackle at the gathering or the get-together or whatever it was. So it might be you're going to try, to eat. At one point I remember mimicking someone else's food. So I chose someone in my head, and I would be like, when they eat, I'm going to eat. When they drink, I'm going to drink. And I tried to do that so I could give myself kind of a feeling of what it felt like to maybe eat as much as someone else ate. And it was really scary. And they would get up and get some more appetizer, and I would have to get up and get some more appetizer. But that was when I was a little farther along, and I wanted to challenge a little more in my recovery. And so I would encourage you, if you're a little farther along in your recovery and you feel like you're in a decent space right now, that you're not going to regress through the holidays, maybe you could challenge something like that. Maybe you could pick a person in your family and try to eat whenever they eat and eat whatever they eat, and just see how that feels for the day. And then check in with yourself after and think, how did that feel to eat that much food? Because obviously that's what a normal person would eat that day. So how does that feel? And I once did that for an entire vacation that I took with a girlfriend of mine. I ate whenever she ate, and it was really weird. I was not used to eating breakfast, and she ate breakfast every morning, and it was very unusual. And there was even a day when she kind of didn't eat very much, and I remember being a little thrown off by that. It was one thing when she was eating a lot and I had to catch up and eat as much as her, but it also played with my mind when she ate a little bit less. But that's what normal people do, and that's kind of what that taught me. So that was kind of a fun little challenging thing that I did that you might want to try if you're steady. If you are not steady in your recovery, it is not the time to be trying stuff like that at all, okay? It's time to just hold steady. And so there's the food aspect. But then we have the people aspect, right? And there's always going to be like those triggering people and those triggering bodies. And this is the time of year where people are wearing their holiday clothes, their holiday dresses, and you're pricing, you know, their skinny little tummies and things like that. And there's always those people who, when you look at their body, right, they remind you of all the wonderful things anorexia gave you when you were skinny, right? For some reason, there's a certain type of skinny body. And when I see it, it's like I get a feeling. I don't get thought so much, but I get a feeling. And the feeling that I get is, ooh, anorexia feels good. I remember feeling that skinny and it was wonderful. When you get that, you need to stop, freeze, and pause and remind yourself of what anorexia really feels like. Because as we're recovering and we look back, and our brains tend to do this anyway with most things, we tend to like look back with rose-colored glasses on, right? So we look back at our history and we're like, oh, this was better than it, and we always think of things as better than they were. And it's the same with anorexia. When we look back at anorexia, we tend to remember how good we felt and how wonderful it felt to be skinny, and that all the good feelings that anorexia gave us. Well, that is not true. That is not how we felt. Do a check-in and remind yourself of what it really felt when you were deep in your illness, because it did not feel good. That skinny that you're remembering as positive and that I was remembering as positive did not feel like that. It felt like freezing cold body. It felt like hair falling out. It felt like my ass hurting when I would sit in the tub. It felt horrible. It felt like nails that won't grow. It felt like lonely days alone because I couldn't go to restaurants with anybody, right? It felt horrible. It felt like obsessing over calories in your brain so that you couldn't think of anything else. It felt like snapping at people that you love because they're asking you to eat, or because they're ignoring what you're eating. Like anything they say, you're snapping at them. That is what being in anorexia was. And you know that's what it was. But when we see those skinny bodies, we go right to that, ooh, that's nice, that's good. And maybe that's diet culture, maybe that's just the eating disorder, but it doesn't matter. You need to snap yourself out of it and remind yourself what anorexia really felt like, because it was not good, it was not pleasant, it was not fun, it was not comforting, it was horrible. So we need to stop and remind ourselves of that when we see those skinny bodies, because they're going to be everywhere. And maybe that skinny body is a person who's sick themselves. Maybe that skinny body is someone who is skinny, but guess what? I didn't get to recover into that skinny body, so that's not my body. My choice was this body or an eating disorder. That was my choice. I choose this body, and I know you're going to choose your body because it's so much better than an eating disorder, okay? So that's what we need to do when we come across all those skinny people. Now, triggering comments. Oh my God. Triggering comments are a nightmare. I know they are, and they're everywhere. I mean, I can remember my dad saying stuff like, when I was skinny, he would say, looks like you're getting a little too skinny, you okay? And then when I gained weight, it was always like, it looks like you gained a few pounds there, huh, hun? And it's like, I don't want to hear either way. Like, it plays with my head no matter which way you say it, whether you lose, whether you gain, whether I'm big, whether I'm little. Like, body comments are just horrible. And then when you get a body comment, you want to start changing what you're eating and what, you know, it just goes on and on and on. So there's two ways to handle body comments. One, tackle it right off. Say something. You know, if it's somebody that you can talk to, be like, you know, I don't really like comments about my body. They just suck. Or I'm really struggling with my body these days, so it'd be helpful if you didn't say anything. You know, or that's diet talk. That's, you know, diet culture talking right there. You're an idiot. I don't know. Just like, that's what Lou would do. She would just yell at them. And if, you know, that's not something you can do, which at a holiday party or gathering probably isn't, here's always my second thing that I do. And I'm one that tends to like laugh things off. So like if people say stuff and I can't really comment back, or I'm not quick enough to make a comment back, then I just like keep that in my head. Those thoughts stick with you. I know they do when people make triggering comments. So I would just keep it up there. And later, when I was with Lou, or when I'm with Eva, or when I'm with my husband, or when I'm with somebody safe, I let those comments out. I'll be like, do you know what so-and-so was saying? Do you hear this, what they were talking about? And in that safe environment, those people that we love and that we trust, they'll say the right thing. They will say to us what we wish the triggering person would have said to us, right? So what I don't want you to do is just leave those triggering comments out there. We don't want to just leave them out there for our anorexia to start playing with and changing what we're eating with. So what we do is we want to take those triggering comments and we want to let them go with someone else. You can go online to my, I don't know, my Instagram, my TikTok, whatever. Leave those comments there and let us tackle them. Just be in the comments like, this is what my uncle whatever said and I can't take it, or this is, my aunts were talking about intermittent fasting and it's driving me crazy. Just go ahead and spill that there. And then guess what? People in the comments are going to tell you the right thing. They're going to tell you what those triggering people should have said. Okay, you need to find somewhere that you can say those things and get the feedback that you need and the care that you need. And only you can find those outlets out. For me, it was in my kids, and even my husband surprised me and often lets me vent. And he just sometimes he nods his head, he doesn't know what to say. Sometimes he can say the things back that I need to hear. But either way, I want you to find somewhere that you can vent those out. Even during dinner, have your phone underneath you and be like, text a friend and be like, can you believe what these people are talking about? And let that friend give you the feedback that you need. That's really important. So that's kind of all I wanted to talk about today. I wanted to talk about being safer on your food. Please be safer on your food. If you have to maintain. If you feel like you can challenge something, give something a little challenge. But don't challenge something if you don't feel like you can, right? I wanted to talk about bodies, other people's bodies. When you see other people's bodies and you remember that eating disorder in a positive light, stop right there. And remember what anorexia really was like, because it was not fun. And we know it wasn't fun. And then also triggering comments. If you can say, fuck you, that's a triggering comment, do it. If not, keep that comment up here and let it go with somebody who can give you the right feedback that you need. Anyway, I have an appointment. I have to go in now. I hope that helped a little bit. I don't know. I think I'll upload this to YouTube and hopefully I'll get it up there today, kind of a Christmas Eve. Okay. Happy holidays, everybody. We can do it. You can make it through.